Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60.
Buckle up indeed, and welcome to the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal. This is Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System, covering all the week's news, highlights, and more from LAFC, the Galaxy, Angel City, Orange County Soccer Club, and of course, the major arena soccer league zone, Empire Strykers. Hello and welcome. I'm your host of Soccer in 60, J.R. Liebert, affectionately known as The Scarf, and my man back from his Hawaiian vacation, Timmy K. What do you say, my co-host? Good to see you, bud.
Great to see you, Scarf, and aloha, baby. Aloha, and
Absolutely.
Welcome back to it.
Dude, welcome back indeed. Don't forget, please, everybody out there, if you can hear my voice, please subscribe to the podcast on all your podcast platforms and head on over to Soccer in 60 on YouTube and hit that subscribe button as well. Today is a big one. We've got Angel City head man Alex Straus. What a big get. Our producer Gunnar Burnt sat down with Alex for a fantastic interview. Buckle up indeed, because he talks all things Angel City ahead of their 2026 season. And it is a fantastic interview. Once again, head coach of Angel City FC, Alex Straus, here with us on Soccer in 60 with Gunnar. And Timmy, there's a lot of things going around in the rumor mill, a lot of big signings down in Orange County. This is going to be a fun one, and it's got to be a fun week, Timmy, when we're actually kicking it off with Orange County Soccer Club. But before we do, let's check in with our good friends over at Omnitrans. In partnership with the Empire Strykers, experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let Omnitrans take care of the ride. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip to cheer on the Strykers. Don't miss out on the excitement and make every moment count at Toyota Arena. Ride with Omnitrans to your next Empire Strykers match. Plenty of news about the Strykers in a little bit, but Timmy, we've got 3 confirmed signings. But you know what? We were talking about this pre-show, Timmy K. Tom Bogert is never wrong. So we're going to lead with a big one out of Bogertville, and that's that 17-year-old attacker Jameer Johnson is signing with Orange County Soccer Club. Even though the Galaxy traded for his homegrown rights, he's a product of the much-vaunted Philadelphia Union Academy, Caven Sullivan to name a big name that just came out of there. But Timmy K, we've seen this and talked about this with Orange County so much. It's that pathway to Europe that they have proven they know how to tread.
Yeah, and we talked about this when the original trade was made and the signing was made, and he was a throw-in of sorts. He's not a throw-in. He is a big-time soccer player, and he's going to be stud. If this really goes through, Orange County is in for it, because he's an excellent player, and he is going to take the USL by storm.
Yeah, one of those attackers that Orange County can just leave up front and let roam around the top. I mean, he is blazing fast. Once again, a product of the Philadelphia Union Academy. He's done amazing things at the youth level. And it's just another reason that Orange County Soccer Club continues to be one of the more viable options to get to Europe. We're not talking about an MLS squad. We're talking about USL Championship, Orange County Soccer Club. They've proven the recipe works. Another big signing, though, for them, Timmy, midfielder Kevin Partita. It's very rare that in USL, Timmy, you get a veteran of one club. Players move around. They like to get the most money or get the most playing time. Well, Kevin Partita hasn't had to worry about that in his 5 seasons at all, Timmy. He is a true midfield leader for the County Boys.
Yeah, this is another big signing for the guys, and with him, this gets the County Boys to 18 guys under contract for the coming year. Yeah. And to put Partita in the midfield, get him back there, it makes the midfield very, very strong. You know, we've already got 6 or 7 defenders signed, you know, Hagart and these guys. You got Nico Ben Alcazar. The defense is shored up now to keep Partita and that leadership in there. And you mentioned it. You don't keep a guy on one club for more than 5 years. It just does not happen in the USL, Scarf.
Yeah, 100+ appearances for Orange County Soccer Club since 2022. And we were talking about this. They didn't just sign some rando. They signed goalkeeper Alex Rando with Orange County Soccer Club. And this is a big one for the goalkeeping room there, Timmy, because Tek Codono, now he's not just looking over his shoulder. He's looking to his left and his right. This is a 24-year-old goalkeeper with extensive experience for both NYCFC 2 and the Las Vegas Lights. And something I wanted to point out, Timmy, in 2021, he was the starting goalkeeper for the majority of matches for the Las Vegas Lights. That team was coached by the most recent LAFC headman, Steve Cherundolo, with lots of former LAFC players that went off to Barcelona like Mamadou Fall, big names still in the MLS like Danny Musovski and Bryce Duke, and then goal scorers in USL Championship, Danny Trejo and Al Jennings, big names that he played with and backstop for there at Las Vegas Lights.
Yeah, and he's a product of the NYCFC Academy, right? Where I just mentioned his name a minute ago, Nico Ben Alcazar played. So they know each other. So when you have somebody in front of the sticks like him, being able to control the defense and having a guy that he's familiar with, this is going to make a very big deal on the back. And, we said adieu to Colin Shuttler, but they've really stepped up, the County boys have, and put together a really nice goalkeeping room for the coming year, Scarf.
Yeah, this is a big one because you know that Codono is going to do some good things if you need him to, but now you might get an even better long-term backstop in Alex Rando. And the traveling Bunburys have hit Orange County. This is a big one. Mateo Bunbury signing with Orange County Soccer Club, the Canadian winger. He's 20 years old, but at 20 years old, he's already got 99 professional matches under his belt, 18 goals, 10 assists. But he comes from a long line of the soccer playing Bunburys. Of course, his father, Alex, spent time with West Ham and Sporting Kansas City and capped 65 times for Canada. His brother, Teal, 470 matches in Major League Soccer. They're 15 years apart, by the way, Teal and Mateo. So lots of good things expected from Mateo Bunbury as well. But now it's time. Don't forget, we're going to head on over to Alex Straus in just a little bit, but we got to talk about Galaxy. And since we're talking about the LA Galaxy, we might as well bring on the duo from the Lacuna Galaxiana podcast, Rob and Ananda. Boys, welcome back to Soccer in 60.
Hola, hola.
Good to be back.
It is
Aloha to you, Timmy.
Right, there you go. It is great to have you boys back on because while we're still waiting for the Nascimento confirmation, and we think that it's coming down the pike rather soon because you guys have some insider information on that, the rumor mill, though, is heating up about that number 9 that you boys have wanted all off season. Of course, this is in response to the Ricky Pooch injury, and I'm going to let you guys talk about it. Rob, the big rumor coming out of St. Louis.
Yeah, of course. You mentioned Tom Bogart earlier and the fact that he's never wrong. I mean, he reported today that the Galaxy were in discussions with St. Louis's Jacques Klaus to become the Galaxy's new number 9. It would be a DP deal based on the numbers. So it looks like the Galaxy are set to fill that DP spot that was vacated by Ricky Pooch's injury with Jacques Klaus.
Yeah, Joao Klaus as a designated player, 27 goals, 7 assists in 85 matches with St. Louis. But Ananda, this is a guy with experience all throughout Europe. This is a proven goal scorer in Major League Soccer. And more importantly, it is a true number 9 suiting up in the middle if this indeed does go through for the Galaxy.
Yeah, I agree. Coming into the season, I think there was 2 big holes that we needed to fill. I think number 1 is obviously the absence of Ricky Pooch. So a playmaker, a cam type of player that can slot into the midfield and make plays for this Galaxy team. But then I look at that starting duo at Strykers, Scarf. You've got Christian Ramirez, who, again, at this stage of his career, probably is not going to log heavy minutes as a starting 9. And then you just talked about Montez Nascimento, which on the last video I did with you guys, I said that, he is still an unproven article, only 4 goals, 3 assists last year, and he needs time to bed in as a U22. So I look at this and say the Galaxy needed an MLS proven starting striker. And I even argue that, look, the Galaxy missed Dejan Joveljic just as much as they missed Riqui Puig in 2025. So for me, this move makes complete sense. And it's also a good shortstop or a good short-term fix in that João Klaus's deal expires at the end of this year. So they have that short-term vision with that long-term flexibility. That makes a lot of sense if you look at slice and dice this in multiple ways.
Yeah, let me ask you guys then to talk about the new front line look that you have. If Nascimento comes over, obviously the players you already have under contract with Nascimento and João Klaus. Rob, what kind of an attack can we expect from the LA Galaxy this season in MLS?
Yeah, you don't bring in João Klaus to not have him lead the line, right? So then you're looking at Pinto on the left, João Klaus up top, and Peck on the right. And then the big question is, who's going to be that number 10, that that midfield general or attacking piece. We were speaking to Will Kuntz today, the availability, about the way that Greg might use Marco Reus, if that's going to be the way forward. Obviously, with his age and his somewhat limited availability on occasion, I don't think that's their plan. I mean, from what we got from both of them, from both Will and Greg, the Galaxy are still 2, even 3 attacking pieces away from being done with their business this summer, or this winter rather.
Yeah, let me ask you, maybe the Bastian Schweinsteiger role when he came over for Chicago, right? All of a sudden they put him in the midfield or maybe even on the back line to attack. All kinds of different options for Marco Reus. But Ananda, with so much still to be built, according to Will Kuntz for the Galaxy, who or what might be the next piece that you're thinking? Is it going to be that number 10 in the midfield? Are they done building anywhere else? Where do they still have to improve, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think after Klaus, it has to be that playmaker. Right now, if you look at the Galaxy's midfield, a lot of box-to-box players, a lot of holding midfielders, some good ball progressors. Even Justin Hack can play in that midfield, but no true playmaker in the style of Riqui Puig. Now, granted, Riqui Puig to me is not a traditional 10. To me, he's like a 6/8. I mean, he's very much of that Barcelona mold. You look at players like Pedri, Gavi. He's that type of guy. I mean, you see his heat map, he's all over the place, right? He's not a traditional number 10. So I think that's probably where the Galaxy look, but it's going to be interesting now. The GAM numbers came out today for all the teams in MLS. So what TAM or what contract does that look like? What type of player can they attract at this point? Look, I didn't even expect João Klaus to be in the consideration. So I'm sure Will Kuntz has an ace up his sleeve, and it'll be interesting to see what that ace is.
Yeah, let me ask you guys one more question before we talk about maybe the John Nelson signing too. They also talked, Will Kuntz did at Media Day, about the injury or the re-injury of Riqui Puig while he was in Barcelona, and some details came out about that might be a little surprising. Rob, your thoughts on the additional information that we got from Will Kuntz on Galaxy Media Availability Day?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy because they both detailed being in Greg and Will, that is, detailed being in constant contact with Riqui, and even Riqui being in constant contact with his teammates. And they said that on Jan 1, they spoke to him. I mean, they were messaging with him and everything was fine. And then on Jan 2, they both woke up to the text message from Riqui that he was going to have surgery again. From what we understand, he was doing his training plan in Barcelona, and somewhere along the line of the training plan, he felt a tweak. He went in to go get it checked out, and in fact, the doctor told him that it had ruptured. So that's why he had to basically start from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely brutal, obviously. Ananda, one of the things that you and I have talked about quite a bit on this show is how the Galaxy needed to rebuild that back line, and rebuild they have. We talked about, obviously, Jakob Glesnes being the diamond that you guys have picked up. But John Nelson signed to an extension through 27-28 with an option for 28-29. Last year's Defender of the Year for the Galaxy. What does it mean to have him in the fold for a couple more seasons?
Yeah, I love this. And I just really love the story of John Nelson. Think about how he was out of favor in St. Louis and the way his tenure ended there, not on the best of terms. And he's now a championship winner. He's now a mainstay in the back line for the Galaxy. I gave you my starting back four last video, Scarf, and I said John Nelson is in there right now. Yeah. A very honest, hardworking player. And every time he talks to us in the media, Rob, you can test this, super humble guy, super gracious to always talk to us. And he speaks with a lot of humility and class. So just a good professional, a glue guy to have in the locker room.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, again, a champion now too, right? That's the biggest thing. Correct. So he knows how to win. Definitely a good job to lock up John Nelson. We locked up Alex Straus, the head coach of Angel City FC, for a fantastic interview in just a little bit. Don't forget about that coming up. But we're going to pivot over to LAFC after talking a little bit of Galaxy here. And we're going to stay with Rob, Ananda, and of course, Timmy K. Timmy K, Inter Miami, trying to poach Denis Bouanga. $13 million offer that, according to all parties at LAFC, was turned down as soon as they were done texting or typing, whatever it was. But, oh my goodness, Timmy K, are they trying to build the evil empire out there in Inter Miami or what? Denis Bouanga, $13 million, and LAFC says no.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if nobody else has to follow the cap guidelines and Miami just blows right by them, kind of like the Dodgers. Yeah, this was astounding when this came across, and then 10 minutes later they're trying to offer 14 million to somebody else. So I think it's just wild what they're trying to do. Look, I get it. They're coming off of a championship. Beckham's got to keep things rolling. Messi's got to keep guys up there with them. But, to try and poach a guy for 13 million like they did, that's pretty brazen is the polite way to say that.
And interesting to think about it was Germán Berterame, who wound up being the second option for Inter Miami as who they were going to poach. This one from Liga MX. And of course, he is a prolific goal scorer for sure. But wow, Inter Miami trying to poach Denis Bouanga. That was a big one.
Wild. That's wild.
It really
absolutely bonkers.
You don't see that from like another MLS team, right? Like it wouldn't surprise me if it was like, Club America came and tried to poach Denis for 13 million, but that's Inter Miami.
I applaud the audacity, to be honest with you. I can't even hate on that. I applaud it.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I am all for it. Michael Scott, Wayne Gretzky, whoever said it, it doesn't matter, but absolutely. Look, this preseason started for LAFC, which is very, very early, but it was a closed-door match between LAFC and Bayern Munich's U23s. And all we know from a lot of the reports from LAFC, over 40 different players played in this one between the two halves, between the two sides. No Heung-min, or no Son Heung-min, no Hugo Lloris, no Denis Bouanga. In fact, according to the LAFC release, 11 first-team players were sitting in the stands for this one, and roughly half of LAFC's 20-some-odd players came from LAFC too. But in that first half, Thomas Hasal getting the first crack at the backup goalie spot with a back line that we might see a whole bunch in the regular season. Sergi Palencia and Artem Smolyakov on the outside with Eddie Segura and Ryan Porteous in the middle. That means Aaron Long likely still healing from his injury. Matt Evans, Jude Terry, Marky Delgado, and David Martinez also playing in that first half. In the second half, mainly LAFC 2 players and trialists, but Cabral Carter, who I'm telling you right now, we signed him up from LAFC 2. I think he's going to be a great professional if he just gets a shot somewhere. Kenny Nielsen, Lorenzo Della Valle, and Kosi Tafari, and Ryan Hollingshead. Not sure what you take away from something like this, but Rob, let me ask you, LAFC, Bayern Munich U23s this early in the season, other than minutes and maybe seeing if you've got something from some diamond in the rough, what else is there to take away from this?
Like you just said, I don't think there's much else other than trying to get the boys fit against some quality opposition. I mean, even though it's, like you said, the U23s of Bayern Munich, I mean, these are still going to be players that are going to probably be playing in the first division in Germany at the very least. I mean, so Other than that, no, I don't think there's really too much to take away. But it's good that they're doing these type of things and giving the second team an opportunity to get involved.
Yeah, and a little dubious that nobody released a score from this. The only thing I worry about is that LAFC just getting started. Bayern, the U23s are on a little West Coast swing because it's the halfway point of their season. So these guys are in form for sure. The other big news is that LAFC 2 will be playing their home matches, or at least most of them, much closer to home this year. No Titan Stadium, but most of them will be at USC's Rawlinson Stadium. And Timmy K, I mean, if you want to go out and see some good MLS Next Pro soccer, it's going to be right down the road in downtown at USC's soccer stadium.
Yeah, and it's a great facility too. The SC soccer team's, not the greatest in the world, but the facility is top notch. Yeah. So you're going to be able to go in, see a really good high quality soccer. And I think this is one of the things that the MLS teams really need to do is have these guys a little closer to home versus, 35 miles isn't that far away, but the reality is it's an hour and a half in LA traffic.
Absolutely.
And if you can get these guys right there and you need to call somebody up for a game because of an injury or something, you can just pick them out of your backyard and you don't have to wait 2 days to get them.
Absolutely. And Ananda, any chance we see you or Rob at any of the derbies? We've got May 16th and September 5th is when LAFC 2 will be hosting Ventura County Football Club. You going to come on up for one of those?
You know what? We've been talking for a while to catch an MLS Next Pro game. It's got to be in our agenda. I mean, I personally love seeing young players develop, so it's definitely on the cards.
Well, that would be great.
Absolutely.
We would love to have you guys up here for that match. But unfortunately, we got to say goodbye to you guys right now. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Ananda, for joining us once again on Soccer in 60. All right, it's time to check in with our good friends over at National Core. National Core is one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and a proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. And to learn more about National Core and their mission, head on over to nationalcore.org. All right, this is a big get for us, Timmy K, here on Soccer in 60. Our producer Gunnar sat down with none other than the head coach of Angel City Football Club, Alex Straus, for a fantastic interview. So sit down, grab yourself some popcorn, and hang out with Gunnar and head coach of Angel City, Alex Straus.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm here right now with one of the most influential figures in Greater LA Pro Soccer. He's the head coach of Angel City, right? Born in Norway, grew up in Norway, came up through the system there, coached in the first division in Norway, coached the U23 women's national team, the U19 national team. Eventually was brought in by Bayern Munich and won back-to-back Frauen-Bundesliga trophies. And now he's here in charge of one of the most ambitious, most coveted, most challenging projects in North American pro soccer. I'm so glad that you're taking the time to chat with me today. Angel City head coach Alex Straus, thank you so much.
Yeah, nice to be invited to have a chat. I'm happy to be here.
Anytime. We'll have you on every week if you want. Before we talk soccer, we just chatted briefly before the interview. You said you've been here since January 1st, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're about 8 months into your Californian adventure. What's it been like just living here? Are you glued to the training field? Have you gone to Disneyland? Have you gone on hikes? What's life like here?
Yeah, no, I've been here obviously a lot in the training facilities. We have a lot of work to do here, but no, I have been able to enjoy the city and California, and my family is enjoying it a lot. So yeah, I think that we have been integrated well in California and in LA, and we've been to all of watching the other sport teams from Los Angeles, and yeah, like my family has been to Disneyland. I have not been able to do it myself, but of course I have a good connection up there, so hopefully I can do that a little bit later. Yeah, but no, we have been around doing all the things that the first months we did all the things that people do when they come to LA. And after a while, we just been connecting into life of living in Los Angeles. So
Feels like you've actually arrived.
Yeah. We have landed.
Yeah.
Landed.
Before we talk about present day, I want to briefly take you back to last season. You come in halfway through the campaign. You're instantly tasked with implementing an entirely new system, overhauling a roster on the fly, basically, while trying to make the playoffs. I think it's fair to say that was always going to be a challenging proposition. Was there anything when you came in that surprised you that you couldn't have prepared for? A lot of people, standard things people say, the parity in the league, the travel is something you're not ready for. What stood out to you?
No, we ended up where we ended up, and so there was, of course, things that surprised us. It's like if everything was jackpot for us, we would be able to renew the roster, and we would be in the playoffs, and we would do everything. And of course, there were challenges, and the travel is one thing that you cannot prepare yourself for when you come from Europe, where we travel in. Of course, we played more games because we have Champions League and we have league games, we have cup games, we have different competitions. So you play very often Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, like in that rhythm. But you travel around Europe is mostly within a couple of hours flights. You know, when you fly to the East Coast, you have 6 hours on a plane approximately, and you also has the time difference that you need to connect to. So those things, honestly, and was something that you need to understand. Of course, you adapt to it pretty quick. But you need to understand the priorities that you need to do based on all of these things. That is different. Yeah, the other part is not surprise because I knew it, but you need to experience it. It's the level of the competitiveness in the league. So in Europe, we talk a lot about this, and a lot of people and a lot of podcasts like this, like talks that works with female football, and there's a lot. I think I see that around. Everybody talks about the European leagues in England, Germany, or whatever, and America. It's like different. Yeah, it is. Something is different, and that is the competitiveness. And I think in England there is a gap between the top 5 teams and the rest. And in Germany, there is a gap between the top 3 and the rest. And it's a huge gap between the top 1 and from number 4 and back, so down. And that we built over the years over there. So that I'm very proud of. But here it is like, I don't remember who was last, Chicago maybe. It was, when we play Chicago, and we also played Kansas and at the end of the season, and they were the best team. So when Kansas at that time, because they won the Shield at that time, but when we played Kansas in the BMO, I think we played them off the field. That was one of our best games in the. They couldn't touch the ball. We created a lot of chances. They had 1 shot on target in that game, and that goes in, and we lose 1-0. Yeah. So that's of course quality from them. But I think if the game, how can I say, the rhythm of the game had been like that over 10 games, we would probably win 8 of those. But then we can play Chicago, and it's just as demanding, you know. It was a lot. Yep. So every game you play, you either win 2-1 or you lose 2-1. So all games are there to be won, but all games are also there to be lost. And that's the difference then in Europe, because the best teams in the biggest leagues in Europe, I think, even if you put your second team on for a game against the teams in the bottom, you will still win. You don't win 5-0, but you win 1 or 2-0. So that's very exciting here, but it also demands a lot. So it's a very demanding league. And it was not a surprise, and it was not like that, but you need a little bit adapting to that. And when you come from Europe and has not been in this league from before, and then it's also a couple of things that I think that the teams here and the players here in this league can learn from that type of culture. But it's like I said it from the start, when we can merge those 2 things together, I think you will have the recipe for success. And that's what we try. That's what we want to do. But it's always going to be a journey. So yeah, I said it outside a little bit before. It's a lot. It was a very. I'm not talking for me, but I think for Angel City's point of view, it was a complicated year. It was a lot of things happened, you know. It was a difficult start, a lot of changes in leadership. We have the Savvy situation, which hit the team very hard. And we spent a lot of time getting back from that emotional part. We have me coming in midway through the season, trying to find a balance between adapting to what's here now and make the changes that you want to do, but you cannot make all of the changes because it doesn't make sense in the middle of a season. You need players leaving, some of the players naturally because we felt we needed to make a change, but of course some players, especially one that we would love to keep, and that changes that also changes the rhythm and the dynamics a little bit. That being said, we also got really good additions into the team in the season, and there's some with Hina and Neely coming. At that point, we got Priska a little bit later, and midway, Evelyn Shores, Svendis came around the same time as I came. So we got, but they also need time. Like Svendis also need time to adapt to playing here. She also played in Germany for the last year. So it was an interesting journey. But we always knew that it starts now is where you can build. And I think that sometimes, especially maybe in LA, I don't know, but in around Angel City, there has been and that's also what's exciting about Angel City, but there is a certain point of impatient, you know. It's like I say it every time I speak. When I speak to my friends over in Europe, and they're just like so impressed with what Angel City has managed to do in 4 years. This is the 5th season. It's the biggest club in the world in the female football, you know, female soccer. It's like and it's all of this. I came from a club, like I said many times, that's 126 years old. So all of the culture, all of the routines, all of the structures that are built, what they've done here for 4 or 5 years is amazing. You're here now. We are at the facilities. No facilities that is close in the league. So what has been done here has been amazing by the people that has built this club. And now we start the next phase of it. Now we need to build a competitive team on the field, and that is also step by step. We need to get it right. We cannot just take all of the. We need to make some difficult decisions sometimes, but you need to get it right, and this is my point. And sometimes we tend to think that things can just have, okay, we signed one player, or now we're going to win the championship. You know, it's like it's built on much bigger foundations. But we have everything here. We just need people to be. I think from the people around, the fans and everything. When everybody of those who wants to be a part of this journey, when we arrive, because Angel City will win. Make no mistake about it. They will win. There will be championships here. I'm 100% sure. And that being a part of that journey will be amazing.
Perfect transition into my next question. Talking about the present day, the current roster, right? Actually, quite a bit of turnover, even since you mentioned it, even since the season ended. Recently, a slew of signings announced by the club, including 2 blockbuster signings, Brazilian attacking midfielder Ari Borges, and then Emily Sams, U.S. national team defender, young U.S. national team defender. What is your? I mean, it's very early in the preseason. It's the first day of preseason. But what is your feel on the roster? Is it where you want it to be? Do you see strengths, weaknesses? Are there more moves that you want to make at this point?
No, that's a tricky question. No, you want to get if we are doing more. That's a good one. No, but we're open. No, we are very happy with the players we got in. We are very happy. That, like I said outside, like the college player was our first picks. That's was the players that we really wanted, and we fought hard to get them. Ari was a process since the summer. We wanted to actually to bring her in at the same time as we brought in Hina and Neely in that same phase when we lost Salem, Katie, and Alana Kennedy, and that phase, and also Alyssa left.
Yep.
So in that period, we also wanted to bring in Ari. We were competing with Louisville at that point for the last playoff spot. So it obviously for them to give a player to the competitor, that I totally understand that's difficult for them. And of course, Ari has been with them for some years and wanted to finish the project there. But we kept it warm at the end of the season. We tested the waters a little bit again. And when the season ended, she was more than keen of coming to us. So then we capitalized on that and got her over the line. But that was a long process. The same with Emily Sams was also, we knew that we wanted to make some changes in that area of the field and those positions. So we looked all over the world. Emily was one that in this league was one we really, really wanted based on her qualities, and very early I felt that I've followed her also when I was in Europe last year when they won the championship with Orlando. She had an amazing season. So, but I didn't think it was possible. So we looked at a lot of alternatives. But at the end, there was an opening. We felt there could be an opening to get her out of Orlando, and then we went all in, and that was our first choice in that position. And fought hard, and I think it was on the day before Christmas. She came back and said, "Yeah, I'm coming to Angel City," and that was the best Christmas present.
Early Christmas. I was going to say early Christmas present.
Yeah. So I was very happy, but we worked hard for it, and we had a lot of discussions, a lot of talks, and a lot of because players like that making these decisions, they can go wherever they want and decide to come here. They need to believe in the project. They need to believe the same thing I just talked about, the journey and where we're going to go, and find that exciting. And it's not only about the bright lights of Los Angeles and BMO Stadium. It also needs to be like we want to create something stable, something. We say it like this: a dynasty on the field, or a legacy of the field, and that needs to be based on football first, soccer first, and so that was a big talk with Emily, and in the end she really believes in what we are doing. So very happy to get her, and then let's see what happens in the coming months. I would not say, but it needs to be right. We can go to if we start the season with this roster, we will be in a better place than we were last year, I think. I believe 100%. I don't think, I believe 100% that. And but we always look to strengthen and see what's possible. Mark is working really, really hard to strengthen our roster. And then, of course, is the other part of it. So we also, a lot of players has left, and more players are left than came in, and that's also a hard part. And it's like, I sometimes feel that's also a difference, though, from Europe. Back to your former question, it's this salary cap league like the NWSL is compared to European league. So the rosters you can have over there is bigger for periods, and then somebody leaves because they're not playing. You need to clear space before you can bring in players. So and sometimes I feel like, because we always connect to your personal favorites, and sometimes I feel like when we bring in, or players are leaving, that people don't understand that's a necessity of getting new players in. If we would have kept all the advices that I get from different angles and different areas, we would have probably 50 players in our roster, so we could just bring in players and nobody leave. So but that's hard sometimes, and because there are people that's left that we really would also like to keep, but it was not possible based on cap and based on. Also, players want to leave if they're not playing enough. So it's a lot of things coming into that. So, but big players left also after the last season, retired, and we need to replace them. It's an interesting phase that we go into now.
If you don't mind, I just have a couple more questions.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm not sure if we're going long, but
it's fine.
one position I'm really intrigued with and have been intrigued with is the goalkeeper position, right? There's a tendency in U.S. sports journalism media, when a player goes to Europe in the women's game, they disappear off the map when they go to certain leagues. I talked to a couple of people who covers pro soccer in North America who were under the impression that Hannah Siebert rarely played in Europe, had very little experience playing in professional games. And then I had to say, no, she's a back-to-back-to-back goalkeeper of the year in Portugal. She's played Champions League. She has almost 150 games. So I'm really intrigued with the head-to-head between Hannah Siebert and Angelina Anderson. In her own right, very talented goalkeeper, call-up to the U.S. national team. I wonder if, in your mind, where that stands currently. Do you have a clear number one? Is that a neck and neck right now? What can you tell us?
No, they compete, and we want that competition. So, but of course, last year Angelina was the number one, and she played the most games. I could say it was still competition, and it was, but still Angelina played the most of the games, and Hannah also was a player that came midway through the season last year. She needs to do a job now in the off season and the preseason now to go out and challenge Angelina for the number one spot. But the best will play, so Angelina needs to step up also when Hannah is pushing her. But so that's there is competition. Yeah, of course it is. But Hannah, based on last year, is a challenger, and she needs to do that in a good way. And then Angelina has to defend her position, and that's a part of the dynamics of being. And I really believe in those type of environments. I don't believe in like you have a number one and then you have a clear number two and a clear number three, because you lose some edge. Then everybody needs to feel competition in every position. That's also a difference in Europe and in America. It's tend to have, like we talk a lot about, starters and players coming from the bench. I like to think that I want to have competition for every space, every starting position, every week. So what they do on the practice field needs to define how many minutes you get in a weekend. So that is something that I think we can also get better at over here. But so that's one thing. But the other part with this is a little bit what I touched upon earlier. It's like when we talk about Hannah playing in Portugal for Sporting. She also champion in Norway for volley. So, and she was the number one goalkeeper I played against her. Over there in Scandinavia. That's a little bit, and that goes both ways. I think that be open-minded. If you're following this sport, women's soccer, women's football, you need to understand the full picture of everything. You need to engage with what's happening over there in Europe, because the other way around. It's the same in Europe. They don't know what's happening over here, so we always assume things, about America. We assume things about Europe instead of really diving into it and understand. So we talk about all of these things, that we talk about the differences of NWSL and European. Yeah, but those who often talk about that, they don't have the experience. They don't really know. They assume there is a big difference. And I touch upon some differences, but it's still soccer, it's still football, it's still soccer, it's still... And it would be interesting to have one competition where we play against each other, like the European top teams and American top teams, to actually see what the difference is. But we assume there is much more. So my advice for that is to, from Europe to America, look into it, try to study the game over here, get to know the game over here, and then American journalists or media need to understand the football over there, because you need to know this. If you have if you make a statement of Hannah Siebert, or I don't know what it was, but if you have like a discussion about, you need to know the facts. That's your job.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah.
because it's about respect for Hannah as well.
Yeah.
So that is just me sharing my feelings about that. you know.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't agree more. Final question. There's been talk of it's going to take maybe 3 years to turn ACFC into a winner on the field, but it's also been acknowledged the club doesn't really have 3 years. You said it. LA is notoriously impatient when it comes to sports. People want a winner now, yesterday. What are your goals for this season?
Yeah, but you came straight to you came very fast to the last point. I need to answer this a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Yes, we want to win fast. We want to win as quick as possible, but you need to do it in the right way. And everybody wants to win. You know, I can bet every team they ask in the NWSL, what's your goal for? We want to win the championship. We want to play in the championship game. All the 16 teams will do that. So we can say that if that makes people happy or whatever, but we also need to know that we build it on foundation. So we're going to win. When we win, and I said it to you, I say, make no mistakes, Angel City will be champions. But it has to be done in a way that when we arrive again and again and again and again. And we need to create that dynasty, that momentum, a little bit. The touch that Gotham has got a little bit now when they won and then lost, and then they won again this year. It's like this is where we need to go. But like we just talked about the turnover, it's not gonna be. You cannot say that and then do this. On the other hand, you know, it needs to be connected. But we have a very exciting roster now. We are building on this exciting roster, young, fresh, hungry. So maybe we can win this year. We don't know. Maybe we need another year, but we will challenge. We will challenge. In every game we will be competitive. And we have a roster that we believe can compete for championships already, and we will add to get better and better and better, and we will need to develop the team that we have. So that is the goal and the target, is what we are saying. And it's not like every team in LA is successful all the time, you know. It's like it's a build-up, and like I said, we are 4 years old of going to our 5th season, so it's been a lot of things that's been great and built here. We need now to take the next step on the field, and we know that, and that's what people expect of us. And but it would be much worse for us if nobody had the expectations and nobody was wanting. We had like 2,000 people coming and watching us, and then it would be sad. Now we have people expect us to win every time and want us to take the next step. And we have shoulders to carry that, and we have people with experience to carry that and try to make this team as successful as we can be. And yeah, so if you ask me about my goals for the season, I want to win every game that we're going to play and get into the players. And when you get to the players, everything can happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can say for myself, everyone at Soccer in 60, we're all rooting for you because we all love Angel City, and this club deserves a winning product on the field. Really appreciate the insight, and thank you so much for taking the time today.
No problem. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. You guys heard it. Fantastic interview there from head coach Alex Straus. Speaking of fantastic, let's welcome on the voice of the Empire Strykers, Christian Philly Philemon. We are very happy to have Philly back in the fold here as we get set to talk Empire Strykers. And there he is.
Yeah. Fresh off his Hoosier Dome victory.
Damn Skippy, boy. It's just hanging out in the waiting room with my good friends Hello Kitty and Fred the Fuggler.
Well, listen, buddy, congratulations on your Indiana Hoosiers, but this is time to talk some Empire Strykers. A couple of big matches this last week. Unfortunately, a 4-2 loss to the St. Louis Ambush, but Philly out shooting St. Louis 32-14. An incredible effort on the shooting end of things, but unfortunately, it just didn't transition into any goals.
I mean, yeah, like the consolation prizes, they tried, but obviously it was futile, and not because of a lack of effort. Paulo Nascimento, St. Louis Ambush's goalkeeper, did just that, ambush every single shot that went in his direction. He was outstanding, on top of the saves chart of MASL for a reason, proving to us that the Brazilian Rob Lowe still can take care of business. The only thing about that game where there's any kind of bright light is the fact that you had the first goal of the season for both Walter Diaz and Tony Della Torre. Keep in mind that they were without Brian Orozco. They didn't have Marco Fabian. Robert Palmer wasn't there. So a lot of the young bucks got their opportunity to shine, and Walter gets his first goal. That obviously led into another successful campaign against Tacoma. And Tony Della Torre, really in only his second full season in MASL, doing his thing. But it's unfortunate when you put in that kind of effort to not have the results. But results were to be had a couple days later.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Look, Walter Diaz giving them the lead 1-0. So some optimism there. But you mentioned it. I just got to mention the number. 21 saves by Paulo Nascimento. I mean, I don't care if you're indoor soccer. I don't care if you're playing U8s, whatever division it is. 21 saves in a single match is absolutely unreal. And then Philly, 3 shots also saved off the line by field players. So really, you're looking at Nascimento standing on his head, but also that St. Louis ambush defense, it could have been 5-6-7-8-4 Empire, if not for the incredible defense.
Yeah, the Brazilian backstop really needs to provide his teammates with some caipirinhas after all the help they gave him in that matchup. Look, it didn't end the way it needed to. And look, St. Louis is not the St. Louis of old. I mean, last season we saw them emerge with a nice little winning streak that propelled them into the postseason for the first time. This is a team that more than likely will repeat in the postseason unless they have a monumental meltdown. But this is a good team powered by some really good people. And for those that are unaware, I mean, Nascimento's been in the league for quite some time. He's an outstanding keeper. He suffered a couple of ACL injuries in the past, but at this point, I mean, it's proven that that's way behind him. The kid's an outstanding keeper.
Yeah, and last quick note, again, Marco Fabian away with an engagement at another event, but also Brian Orozco, Rob Palmer, not injured, just held out for coach's decision. But Philly, just 2 days later, they traveled to Tacoma, and they get a massive bounce-back win behind the heroics of one Ant Powell.
Yeah, and look, Tacoma, another team that just went on a nice winning streak, but they've been losing as of late, so just kind of keep that in mind. Getting a win at the Excessa Showwear Center, not a very easy place, considering how well Tacoma's done defending it. Look, even last season when the Strykers went on the road, they were 5-6-1. They didn't have the best road record, but to pull 3 points in regulation, they need to do that and not find themselves in a situation where they can only bag a couple points in overtime. They need as many regulation wins as they can. On the bright note for them, that they have got a couple of games in hand as compared to a lot of the competition. But in that match in particular, you saw Anthony Powell get himself a hat trick. That was awesome. Walter Diaz gets himself another goal and bags himself a dime. Also looking good. That kid was hurt for a little while last season. But when he started playing, the 3 games that he played in, he scored goals. And let's also keep in mind that he's been competing in the offseason at those tournaments in downtown LA, sponsored by the Surgeon, with a couple of his teammates. And he's looked outstanding in some of the street small-sided games. So, I mean, Walter Diaz can play. You don't make it to the Cuban national futsal team without having any talent. Finally, he's getting a chance to shine under the bright lights.
Yeah, and Timmy K, we're talking about a back-and-forth affair. This is why you watch the MASL. 9 goals in a fiery second half. Empire goes up 6-3, scoring 3 unanswered. But then, of course, Timmy K, they gave it all right back 6-6. What does it mean that they were able to right the ship and circle the wagons and still get those big 3 points in regulation?
Yeah, the cardiac kids were definitely on display that afternoon. The biggest thing is this is a team that they've learned from a couple of years ago. They've learned from last year. There has been a couple of meltdowns, and they have given up that the win went and snatched it from the jaws of victory. But in this one, you could see that they were not going to lose this game, and to get that last goal to win 7-6, it was a very big motivator. And if you listen to Coach talking about it, it's a big win, and even he's freaking out about the fourth quarter and stuff and kind of giving up that 3-goal lead. But even he was complimentary of the team of not giving up the win, Scarf. And it was really nice to see.
Yeah, two massive matches coming up at Toyota Arena Thursday, January 22nd at home versus San Diego Strykers, and then Sunday, January 25th at home versus Kansas City Comets. Fox Soccer Plus, MASL Plus, tons of different places to watch it. But Philly, let me give you the last word. I want you to talk about a couple of players. And don't forget, you can also listen to all those matches on Fox Sports 1270 AM, including the match against San Diego Strykers tonight. That's Thursday, January 22nd, tonight at home against the Strykers. But let me ask you, Lucas Ramalho and Brandon Gomez, two players that really factored into that Tacoma Stars victory, the game-winning goal by Ramalho, and two great matches in a row from Brandon Gomez.
Yeah, look, Brandon Gomez really earned his stripes. I mean, he's always been a good keeper. In fact, when those two came on, him and Orozco, it was Brandon who really was the one that was going to start until Brian Orozco usurped him. Lucas Ramalho put up some really good numbers when he was playing in Texas. So there's no surprise that these kids are finally starting to get out there. And keep in mind the fact that Brandon Gomez was part of that $1 million winning team at small-sided tournament TST with Bumpy Pitch that featured alongside several members of the Strykers and the Strykers. But you hard-hitting journalists have forgotten something about tomorrow. It's Star Wars night at Toyota Arena, so keep that in mind. You got some costumes, make sure you check it out. Tomorrow will be good. Maybe not seeing me dressed like this on Fox Soccer Plus, but for the 60th time, the Empire Strykers take on the San Diego Strykers, and for the 4th out of 6 meetings this season.
And oh, by the way, that was a Darth Vader mask that Philly was wearing for all of you listening. Philly, we're going to keep you on to talk about the Strike Force, the top 3, because they are all, of course, from the Empire Strykers. And there is one name that we haven't talked about, but I want to remind everybody once again, please don't forget, 1270 AM Fox Sports Radio to listen to these Empire Strykers matches. Philly, Ant Powell, no surprise, getting the first place nod in our Strike Force with the hat trick against Tacoma. You just talked a little bit about Brandon Gomez, but talk a little bit about Felipe Dutra, the defender who had 4 blocks in a very tough defensive matchup against the Ambush.
Picking up with the omission of Robert Palmer, who is one of the best in the game, period. Felipe Dutra had some really big shoes to fill, but the kid has been playing small-sided for a little while. He played under coach Onu Obasi at TST. They had those Connecticut connections together, and he came up big. That was going to be a question as to how he was going to factor in. But in my conversations with Obasi in the offseason, the dialogue was once he figures out how to play indoor, he's going to be a beast. And, I mean, he's tall as all hell. The kid could have played hoops rather than indoor soccer.
And I think the one thing that I like, Philly, after all of this, talking about it, is you get the depth now of the Empire Strykers. We haven't talked about Marco Fabian or Justin Stinson, those names that you would expect, even Munir Alami in this one. So again, it's the depth that we are building out at Toyota Arena. Don't forget, head on out to a Strykers game, theempirestrykers.com, and that's Strykers with a Y for all of your tickets. Fox Sports 1270 AM, as well as everywhere else you can catch those games. This has been the fastest paced soccer show in SoCal, Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. Thank you, of course, to the voice of the Empire Strykers, Christian Philemon, and my man, Timmy K, my co-host once again here on Soccer in 60. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you again next